Hello, and welcome to Investment Insight, your clear take on the markets. Let's get started.
Great to be back.
So today is Tuesday, February 10, 2026. And, looking at the markets this morning, it feels like we're living in a tale of two very different worlds.
That's a perfect way to put it, yeah.
On one hand, you have the flashy tech stocks, everyone's excited, but then you look underneath at the actual plumbing of the global economy, and things are getting really gritty.
They are. It's this clash between the digital world we want and the physical world that actually has to, support it all.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into two massive stories that might seem totally unrelated, but they're really, I think, two sides of the same coin. They're both about choke points. First, we're going to talk about Europe basically starting a rebellion against American credit cards. We're talking Visa, MasterCard, and launching their own digital euro.
Which is a huge deal for anyone holding U.S. financial stocks.
Huge. Then we're coming back home to the U.S. to talk about AI, but not the chatbots. We're talking about the fact that the whole AI boom is running headfirst into a brick wall.
A literal wall.
Yeah, the U.S. power grid. Apparently, we're literally running out of juice.
It's the power wall.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it might be the single most important economic story of 2026 that not enough people are talking about.
Okay, so let's unpack this. And I want to keep it super simple for everyone listening. No jargon, just plain English.
Let's do it.
Let's start with Europe. So the digital euro. I feel like I've seen headlines on this for years.
Right.
And it's usually some tech bro talking about how it's going to kill Bitcoin or something. But according to the analysis we've seen, that's not really the story, is it?
No, not at all. And that's the key thing to understand. If you look at recent reports from January, and especially the news dropping today, this has nothing to do with crypto. It's not about speculation.
Okay.
It's about something the Europeans call payment sovereignty.
Sovereignty. That sounds intense, like Game of Thrones intense.
Yeah. Absolutely geopolitical. You have to get inside the European mindset right now. I mean, think about us here in the States. When you go buy a coffee or order something online, whose network are you using?
Visa or MasterCard? Almost always. Maybe Amex?
Exactly.
Yeah.
American companies, regulated by U.S. laws, headquartered right here. Put yourself in the shoes of a European leader.
Okay.
You look at your entire economy, from buying a baguette in Paris to paying for gas in Berlin, and you realize the toll road everyone is driving on is owned by a foreign country.
Okay, I get where you're going with this. It's like you live in a great house, but your neighbor owns your driveway.
Yes.
And if your neighbor gets mad at you or just decides to jack up the price to use the driveway, you're stuck.
That is the perfect analogy. And with the current political climate, President Trump's focus on America first, Europe is feeling a lot of pressure to be Europe first.
Right.
They see these payment systems as social infrastructure, like water pipes or the electric grid. They don't want the U.S. to have a kill switch on their economy.
So it's not about cool tech, it's about independence.
It's defensive, 100%. They're tired of renting the road from Visa and MasterCard. They want to build their own public highway right next to it.
Which brings us to today, February 10th, 2026. Why is this such a big deal today? What just happened?
Today's the tipping point. According to reports from Reuters this morning, the European Parliament has finally signaled clear support to move this thing forward. Fast.
So what was the holdup?
Well, for the last couple of years, this project was just stuck in the mud. I mean, the banks hated it, the privacy advocates hated it. It was a complete mess.
And what changed?
The fear of relying on the U.S. it outweighed all those internal arguments. The conversation has totally shifted from should we do this to how fast can we launch it. It's become a sprint.
Okay, let's get practical then. If I'm a regular person in Europe, or maybe I'm visiting Italy in a few years, how does this actually work for me? Is it just another app on my phone?
On the surface, yeah, pretty much. It'll look just like Apple Pay or your banking app. But underneath, it's very, very different. The most fascinating part, based on the tech specs, is the offline capability.
Offline? You mean like if the internet goes down?
Yeah, exactly. They're using NFC technology that's near-field communication. It lets two phones just touch and transfer money without checking in with a central server or a bank. It's meant to work just like cash.
That's wild. So if the power's out or I'm in a subway with no signal, I can still pay you?
You can. And that is key for two big reasons. One, it's resilient. If the web crashes, commerce doesn't just stop.
Right.
And two, it mimics the privacy of cash. This is where the European mindset is really different from ours.
How so?
We generally accept that our credit card company knows everything we buy. Europeans are much more sensitive about privacy. They don't want the government or Google knowing they bought a coffee at 2 in the morning.
And this offline feature settles peer-to-peer, so the data doesn't get beamed up to the mothership right away.
Exactly. So that helps with the privacy fears. But wait, you mentioned the banks hated this. Why? If I'm a bank, why would I care?
Because of the risk of a bank run, a digital one.
Break that down for us.
Okay. So when you put your money in a normal bank, like Chase, that money is a liability of Chase. If the bank goes bust, you're relying on insurance. Sure.
But a digital euro is a liability of the European Central Bank, the government itself. It's basically risk-free.
Okay, I see where this is going.
So imagine there's a financial crisis. People are scared. If they can instantly move all their savings from a risky commercial bank into a safe digital euro wallet with one click, what happens to the commercial bank?
It gets drained instantly. Everyone pulls their money out.
Exactly. And if the banks have no deposits, they can't make loans, no mortgages, no business loans, the economy just freezes solid.
That sounds like a complete disaster. So how do they stop that? You can't build the public road if it destroys the town, right?
They're putting in speed bumps. The legislation is proposing these strict holding limits. So you, as an individual, might only be allowed to hold, say, 3,000 or 4,000 euros in your digital wallet at any one time.
Ah, I see. So it's for spending, not for saving. It's a checking account, not a savings account. I can't dump my life savings into it.
Correct. And they're building what they call a waterfall system. So if someone pays you 5,000 euros, the system automatically fills your digital wallet to its limit, and then the rest just spills over directly into your linked commercial bank account.
That is actually really clever engineering. It keeps the bank stable, but still gives people the payment option.
Right.
So let's talk investment. If Europe pulls this off, if they build this public highway, who gets run over?
Well, the obvious losers are the U.S. payment networks. Visa, MasterCard, they collect billions in fees from every transaction in Europe. If the digital euro launches and merchants can accept it for free or for very, very cheap.
They'll push everyone to use it. Pay with digital euro and get a discount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a serious headwind for those stocks. But the winners, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Don't look at the currency itself. You got to look at the people selling the shovels.
The infrastructure guys.
Yes, the European tech companies that will build the digital wallets, the security systems, the offline hardware. This is a massive government-backed infrastructure boom. And the contracts are being written right now in 2026 for a launch around 2029.
So the takeaway is, keep an eye on European fintech. This isn't just a science project anymore. It's a policy priority.
Correct. It is a fundamental rewiring of their financial system.
All right, speaking of rewiring, let's fly back across the Atlantic. Because if Europe is dealing with the digital plumbing problem, the U.S. is dealing with a very real, very physical plumbing problem.
We certainly are.
So let's set the scene. It's Q1 2026. My chip stocks are looking great. Memory chips, AI processors, prices are way up. The party feels like it's just getting started.
It definitely feels that way on the surface. We're seeing this boom in prices for DRAM and high bandwidth memory,
Right.
the stuff AI needs to think. But if you look deeper at the data, the reason prices are so high isn't just healthy demand. It's a supply squeeze.
A squeeze.
Yeah. Think of it like an AI priority lane. The big chip makers, Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron, they're sending all their best stuff directly to the AI giants. Microsoft, Google, Amazon.
So if I'm, say, Apple, and I'm trying to build a new iPhone or a laptop.
You're waiting in line. You're getting squeezed. But that's just the problem right now. The future, and by that I mean later this year, has a much, much bigger problem.
You sent over some analysis that talked about a hard stop coming in late 2026. And it's not because people are getting bored with AI, it's because of electricity.
This is the power wall. And to understand it, we need an analogy.
I love analogies. Go for it.
Okay, imagine you go out and you buy the fastest Ferrari you can get, a beautiful, high-performance machine. That's your NVIDIA chip, your AI server.
Okay.
You spend a fortune on it, you get it home, you park it in the driveway, and then you realize there are no gas stations in your entire town.
So I have $1 million paperweight sitting in my driveway.
You have a paperweight. And that is literally what is happening to data centers right now. Companies are buying the chips, building the server racks, and then the local utility company says, sorry, we can't turn it on. We don't have the juice.
Hold on. I thought the U.S. had plenty of power. Aren't we an energy superpower?
We have the generation, we have the gas, the nuclear, the renewables.
Yeah.
What we don't have is the grid. We don't have the wires,
The extension cords?
the really, really big extension cords. A normal data center is like a library. It stores files, runs cool.
Uh-huh.
An AI data center is like a gym where everyone is sprinting on a treadmill 24/7. It runs incredibly hot,
Because the chips are just constantly doing math.
constantly. And that math takes a staggering amount of electricity. An AI server rack can use 10, maybe 20 times more power than a standard one. So you can't just unplug the old one and plug in the new one. You would melt the wires inside the wall.
Okay, that's a terrifying image. So we just need bigger wires.
We need new substations, new transformers, new high-voltage lines. And here's the real choke point. You can build the data center in 18 months. Any idea how long it takes to get a permit and build a new high-voltage transmission line in the U.S.?
Oh, man. Knowing our bureaucracy, 5 years.
5 to 7, sometimes 10.
Ouch. So there's a massive timeline mismatch. The chips are moving at light speed, but the grid is moving at a crawl.
Precisely. And that's why analysts are predicting a peak in this chip boom later this year. Not because demand for AI is dying, but because of commissioning delays. You literally cannot plug in any more machines in places like Northern Virginia. The grid is capped out.
So if I'm an investor listening to this and I own these hot chip stocks, should I sell? Am I supposed to panic?
You don't necessarily have to panic sell, but you have to shift your thinking. You need to look at where the value is moving.
Yeah.
The scarcity is shifting. For the last 2 years, the scarce item was the chip.
Right.
Now, the scarce item is the plug,
The plug.
the boring stuff,
Yeah.
transformers,
Yeah.
copper wire, industrial cooling systems.
It's like the old gold rush story. First, you invest in the gold miners. Then you invest in the guy selling the pickaxes. And now, you invest in the guy selling the water.
The water is a perfect example. Look at companies making electrical switchgear. Look at industrial HPC companies. If you can't build more power lines fast enough, what's your only other option?
Efficiency. Using what you have better.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Efficiency. If a company can walk into a data center and say, hey, we can cool your servers with liquid instead of air and save you 20% on your power bill, that's like magic.
Because that 20% you save means you can plug in 20% more chips without having to call the utility company.
You get it. Efficiency lets you bypass the grid bottleneck, at least for a while. The winners of the next AI phase might be these boring industrial companies that help squeeze more juice out of the same orange.
That's fascinating. It's a return to the physical world. We spent so long hearing software eats the world, but it turns out software needs a whole lot of hardware to eat.
And hardware needs physics.
Okay, so one last question on this. If the U.S. grid is really this stuck, if we hit this wall in late 2026, does the AI boom just stop? Or does it move?
That is the multi-billion, maybe trillion-dollar question. Capital is fluid, but electricity is not. You can't just ship electricity from Brazil to Ohio.
But you can ship data.
You can ship data anywhere in the world in milliseconds. So if the U.S. can't provide the power, we might see a whole new trend of data export.
Yeah.
The big AI models might just move to where the power is cheap and abundant.
You mean places with tons of hydropower or nuclear?
Exactly. Think about Canada or Brazil, or countries in Scandinavia with massive geothermal and hydro. We could see a future where you send your raw data to a server farm in Iceland, they process it, and just send the answers back.
So the next AI superpower might not be the country with the best coders, but the one with the biggest waterfalls.
It's entirely possible. Energy dominance could become AI dominance.
That is a wild thought. The geography of the future could be decided by where the electrons are?
Physics always wins in the end. You can code your way around a lot of problems, but you can't code around the laws of thermodynamics.
Physics always wins. I like that. Okay, so let's recap for everyone. 2 huge stories. In Europe, they're building a digital toll road to get around the Americans. In the US, our AI Ferraris are running out of gas because the physical road, the power grid, is full.
Both are infrastructure stories, and both are huge opportunities for investors who are willing to look past the shiny objects and look at the plumbing.
The plumbing. It's never sexy, but it's usually where the money is.
Always.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for breaking all this down. It's a lot to think about, but I feel like I finally understand why my transformer company stock is moving.
My pleasure. It's going to be a volatile year, but a fascinating one.
Absolutely. And to all of you listening, thanks for tuning in to Investment Insight. We hope this helps you see the market just a little bit clearer.
You take care.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button.